Okay, friends, good morning. This is the webinar presented by Offshore Printer Association. The purpose of today's webinar is quite different because as was there's a coupling in Hindi कर चले हम फिदा जानो तन साथियों अब तुम्हारे हवाले वतन साथियों. So how you will take care of the printing, that to be seen, and what are in your minds in present scenario, how you are going to solve such problem, because you might not have seen such problem anytime before. How the young person are managing and how they wish India may proceed, because now India and Indian printing industry is in your hands. You have to take it further to a further highest growth. So we wish to know your views. That was the purpose of today's seminar. So I will not take much time. I will ask Madam Lakshmi Priya, who will be moderating this show. So Madam Lakshmi Priya, please start the webinar.
Good morning, everybody. Thank you, Kamalji. So this is one of the different occasions where we have the young generation on board. We would like to hear from them their challenges and their risks taken during their progress to this great heights. So I would like to begin by sharing my screen. Starting with the first speaker. The first speaker would be Mr. Anshul Malhotra of Swan Press, New Delhi. Mr. Anshul Malhotra has done his business management studies from UK. He's a diploma in printing technology from Germany, and he is now taking care of the family printing business. They do a lot of exports in terms of books and paper stationery, and he has been instrumental in diversification of the company into packaging and rigid box manufacture. He will be giving us an eye-opening session on challenges and opportunities for printers. Anshul, please.
Hi, good morning, everyone. Thank you, Kamal Chopra ji and Lakshmi Priya ji for inviting me to be a part of this important webinar. So I would be basically focusing on the scenario in the current scenario where we're facing a pandemic. So it's basically that's what I'm going to be speaking about. In this post-COVID situation, I think it would be very important to navigate and manage our printing businesses effectively. None of us can say with certainty as to when this current pandemic will be over and when will we be able to return to normalcy. Even when normalcy returns, I think it would be a new normal and a lot would have changed. The question staring at us now is, will all our industry members be able to withstand the blow to our businesses? I think most of us will, but some will simply go under and have no choice but to close down. I think it is in this pretext, I feel it is very important for everyone to, realize that the road ahead is that we must survive, we should then revive, and then aim to thrive. So that's what I'm going to focus on right now. So coming to this current situation, I think as of now, it really is an unprecedented situation as most printing companies have come to a complete halt. The most imminent challenge for all of us would be restarting of operations. I think businesses have to cope with a high rate of absence as of now. Most of our employees are migrant workers and may not be able to return to work anytime soon. So I think as a result, we will end up operating at a lower capacity at best. In order to resume operations, we will also have to adopt substantial measures for worker hygiene and safety and ensuring an environment with adequate social distancing measures. Some of us will also have to provide additional benefits such as housing. It would surely require quite a bit of effort to meet all the COVID-related compliances. And all these efforts and measures will of course come at a cost. Then there would also be a need to manage an immediate shift to remote working for some staff. And obviously then managing these employees working from home as well. We will also need to take precautions to restart machinery, which has been lying shut and unattended for a good part of 2 months. There would be likely disruptions in procurement of raw materials. Logistics and distribution would take some time to normalize as well. I think once these immediate challenges are addressed, we can then at least resume operations. But I think that's when the tough part comes in, and we need to think hard for various scenarios that lie ahead. I think it is quite difficult to gauge how long this epidemic will last, and it is important to be prepared for all scenarios. If we consider this to be a 3 to 6 month problem, then an instant halt on variable expenses like new recruitments or expansions, marketing, etc. can help. But honestly, I do feel this crisis is likely to last much longer. In such a case, I think businesses will have to reconfigure their business strategy and focus only on the crucial essentials for survival. I think these steps need to be taken by each business and assess the impact. A global recession is very much on the cards. The pandemic has impacted supply chains across the globe. This imminent slowdown in the economy would ultimately lead to a reduced flow of orders from our customers. For an industry like ours, which was already going through tough times and facing disruptions from the advent of various digital technologies, it would certainly be a big setback. So all in all, there would most certainly be considerably lower demand in the market. Once we have assessed the likely impact of COVID on customer demand, we would accordingly need to address the organization cost structure and bring it in line with the reduced revenue projections. We will not only have to think of ways to reduce variable expenses, but probably also renegotiate a lot of our fixed expenditures, such as building rentals or lease payments. In fact, there could also be a need to renegotiate employee salaries and even their incentives and commissions. I also feel a lot of businesses are likely to face a liquidity crunch. I think some of us are already facing cash flow issues, and just the salary obligation for the lockdown period would result in a substantial outflow without any corresponding income. I know there is talk of some government relief, but as of now, I don't know. I mean, there's no clarity at the moment. Business inflows will also be affected as customers might not be able to pay on time. I think we will require very effective cash management, and there will have to be very real need to be thrifty and curtail all unnecessary expenditures at this point. Having said that, I think there will of course be some opportunities as well. Automation being one. I think we can really use automation to drive down costs. I believe there are a lot of automated workflows and processes in most presses. But there is still some scope for automating certain basic processes such as material handling, stacking. I think there could be a significant degree of automation in packing and dispatch as well. Then I feel most presses have already some sort of ERPs in place. But I think now could be a very good time to implement a fully integrated one. An efficient ERP system can actually reduce operational and admin costs without cutting any corners. People are also realizing the ease and convenience of video conferencing, and this would potentially become a very important communication tool in interacting with everyone, our employees, vendors, even our customers. There are some other opportunities as well. I feel that new buying behaviors are forming that are likely to remain even after the crisis has passed. And this presents opportunities. I'll give example for a company like me. I mean, a lot of print companies specializing in the print production of stationery or allied products, there would now be a need to reprioritize their business with a digital commerce focus. Till now, for most such companies, digital commerce was viewed as a secondary channel. I strongly think that this crisis would make businesses realize the importance of digital commerce and reap substantial benefits of this platform. I can also see some export opportunities developing. I was in New York in early February for a stationery show. And even before this full-blown COVID crisis, a lot of American buyers were looking for Indian alternatives to counter their reliance on Chinese suppliers. I think this shift is only bound to get quicker now. And this presents serious opportunities to the print industry as a whole. I would basically like to conclude that I feel there are challenging times ahead, but there are some opportunities as well. And I strongly believe that survival in these circumstances will certainly build a solid platform for companies to thrive in the future. That's what I feel at the moment. Thank you.
Thank you, Anshul. That was a good introduction. I would like to summarize what you have said. So you have first highlighted that this is a very uncertain situation, very true. And the normalcy which will come up also is new, and it is very difficult for us to predict, and we do not know this normalcy. So when we restart the operations, you have given a lot of pointers as to where we have to be very careful in terms of availability of migrant workers, and then how you can provide facility for them and kind of things. You also highlighted on reconfiguring the business strategy as a whole, because you need to have crucial essential services only must be used so as to have a cost cutting. You also highlighted on global recession, therefore customer demands are going to reduce. So we have to look at the cost structure and renegotiate with our workers, because even now we are paying them. And of course, the government is unclear now. With all these uncertainties, you have highlighted the opportunities as well. There are quite a lot of opportunities, especially in terms of automation. So being the young generation, this is what we are expecting from you all, the speakers on the panel today. So the possibilities of automation in terms of material handling, you said is very essential, and packing also it will help. ERP is another good solution. Video conferencing, now that everybody is using this during this lockdown period, can be used for communication further as well. That way it will reduce the movement of manpower. And digital commerce in stationery, you seem to have seen a good opportunity that in your experience with US. Good. So that was a very good introduction. We'll move on to the next speakers, and slowly we will unfold into the details of each of this for the benefit of our participants. The next speaker with us is Mr. Anurag Godia from Fortuna Packaging, Badi, Himachal Pradesh. So he has his education as a BTech degree from GJ University. He started his career as an executive engineer in Noida, after which he was in ICMS Badi, and then he has taken up them as a managing partner of his own family business. They run the Fortuna Packaging unit, the corrugated box unit, and the Axenic print work, which is an offset unit, web offset unit. And they have a very big unit with about 200 crores per month and 300 employees. So he is the right person to talk to us about survival challenges for the year 2020. So over to Anurag. Take over.
Good morning, viewers. Myself, Anurag. I am thankful to Sri Kamal Chopra ji and Lakshmi ma'am for providing me such wonderful platform to express my views. We are a packaging company in Baddi and serving to pharma, foods, appliances, and FMCG. As you are aware of situation arising after COVID-19, and we should not expect that the situation is going to be normal instantly. Our first quarter of business is almost vanished, and I personally feel that both state and central government are not going to take any risk of opening the markets altogether. As an MSME printer, we must prepare ourselves to run this financial year with at least break-even targets. I have divided the challenges what we are going to face in the three heads. Like first, we are facing the commercial challenges. Second is internal factors. Third is external factors. Commercial challenges, first is our expenses and overheads, which are going to incur after this COVID-19 phase. Like we at Baddi, we are facing a lot of challenges to bring all employees in our vehicles and all. That is an extra expense to a packaging company. And also the expenses which are going to just restart the company is a big burden on us. Also, the commercial challenge, my second opinion about the payment cycle and working capital flow. Like you know, all our customers are not able to pay us timely. Previously also we were facing these problems in Baddi. So for this time we need surplus funds to just run the factory in a smooth working. Also, we are facing challenges of raw material pricing and availability. Like if we are dealing in the prime board, they are ethical manufacturers. They can give us, they will not think that they will increase the price immediately. But in case of recycled board, craft and all, they already have increased the prices. We must raise voice against the cartelization of the pricing in this situation by our available platforms. In Baddi, the 50% of the corrugated companies still are not open because of the demand by the supplier of the advance payments. So I personally feel that we should raise a voice against this demand, because we are not getting payments from our clients as we are expecting from them. Also, in the commercial challenges, there is this is the end of when this situation arises. That was the end of our financial year, and every company has its own plan of expansion by the end of the year. And we personally were planning to have an expansion in our factory, but we have decided not to go further because of this situation. So I suggest, cycle of business is going to disturb because of this expansion which we are planning. We are not doing. Our supplier also will be affected from this non-buying of our machinery and all the investment in the capital goods. After that, I will focus on the internal factors what we are going to face after this COVID-19 situation for running our factory. First one is manpower. As you know that printing industry, we are able to run the factories in this time because we are providing services to the essential goods. But the companies which are our clientele, which are producing non-essential goods, so in this scenario, when the factories are closed, so the manpower is going to impact their manufacturing capacities also. So accordingly, our business is going to be impacted because of the manpower shuffling, and we have to be prepare ourselves. We have to prepare ourselves to see where we can just get a new market, new business to run our business. And at the starting of the financial year, the employees, every employee have expectation of increment, the wages, and the employee expect that the company will fulfill their needs because the last financial year they have done well. So in this situation, we are not able to pay them as per their demand, but by the assurance of increment, when the company will achieve their old targets and regain its sales, we can keep our company employee morale up for pursuing our business. In the external factors, I will focus on the essential and non-essential business impact on our business. Like we are working for pharma, food, appliances, and FMCG. Definitely the essential goods demand is going to increase at the pace what it was in past. But the essential business is definitely going to have a hard impact, and our business sales will definitely be targeted in a decline way. So the buying capacity of the non-essential goods and the luxury after the COVID-19 impact will also impact will hamper our sales also. Also, the corporate companies will focus on the local buying. Like there is a lot of transport issues, supply chain issues in the previous 2-3 months. So the companies which are procuring, which will be procuring material from the outside the states and from other states, they definitely will concentrate on the buying the material locally, and this is going to impact the business of the service provider who were selling their material from the from their premises to the outside states. And in the end, I am hopeful that by the end of this quarter, we will be able to run our factories on the required pace. The government had helped the companies by increasing 10% of working capital, which we also have availed already, and 3-month extension of the loans, especially in term loans. These actions taken by the government are not adequate to just recover the current situation. So government should work on the more benefits to the industry by the way of relaxing taxing and the further relaxing by the term loan repayments. MSME is going to play a key role in the future India for grabbing opportunity of fulfilling global printing and packaging demands. We hope this time will teach us how to handle the global pandemic situation, and the one who will face this challenge will come out with a new energy. That energy and the confidence will script new India post COVID-19. Thank you.
Thank you, Anurag. That was a wonderful summary. I would like to bring out whatever you have told in a short manner. So, from the words of a big company proprietor we have here, he says that their normalcy that can come back cannot be done it will not come back instantaneously, and the government is not going to have open market. Therefore, he points out under 3 headings what are the challenges: commercial, internal factors, and external challenges. So under commercial, you have spoken about what kind of extra expenses will come out in terms of the payment cycle, working capital, and the need for surplus funds now to manage the situation. And then there will be demands from the workers for additional increment in the loan, and then advance payment demand from your customers and from your vendors. And you need to plan for the year ending, financial year ending, because we are now at the tail end of the year, and that also has become a challenge now, whether you have to take up the planning or not. In terms of internal factors, you pointed about the manpower and the dependency of the clientele, whether their manpower is available and things like that. Under external factors, you pointed out the impact of essential and non-essential businesses, how they are impacting the issues now. Transportation, and in case of businesses having across the states, then that is falling, and there will be a drawback in getting businesses from the other raw material from the other states. So from the government, there has been some positive announcements, but you still look at relaxing taxes and tax payment relaxation kinds of things, so that the MSME in future will be able to rise up, because most of the Indians are, most of the business people in India are in the MSME state. Thank you very much, Anurag. Now we'll move on to the third speaker, Prithviraj Desai. So Prithviraj Desai is, has had his education from, he is an engineering graduate and an MS in family business. He's the director of mail order systems, mail order solutions from Mumbai. It's a printing, distribution, fulfillment industry. And he will be talking to us about export markets, opportunities, and expectations.
Hello, everyone. I'm Prithviraj Desai from Mail Order Solutions. Thank you, Kamalji and Lakshmi Priyaji, for having me on this platform. I'll just share a small brief about the company and how we started. Mail Order Solutions is a company started by my father, Mehul Desai, and my aunt, Pati Desai. We mainly cater to the direct mail industry, wherein we are producing direct mail packages from India and exporting them to various parts of the world. Many countries in Europe as well as in the US you tend to use direct mail a lot as a way to garner sales. And my aunt was already involved in that industry before we started business. And that's when we had an opportunity where somebody asked, you how much does it cost to produce a package in India? The cost was quite economical, and the opportunity was there for us, basis which we were able to start getting into the printing line. So that's how we started our journey in business. We initially were exporting 100% of whatever we were producing here, and we were outsourcing majority of the operations. For example, offset printing was outsourced, variable data printing was done in-house, then the final finishing was outsourced, after which we used to export. And slowly, as business increased, we started getting more and more into in-house production, where in 2010 we did a major investment and set up our own press facility with pre-press, offset printing capability, as well as post-press finishing. And that's also when we got into the domestic market, wherein we are catering to various commercial printing requirements, book printing, as well as printing for the insurance and finance sector. So the main idea behind what I wanted to discuss was just a few points which helped us to be so dependent on exports, and how we got our entry into catering to the export market, and also sharing a few points on what we are seeing as of now and what the future might hold for us post COVID. So initially, I think one of the main factors involved us participating in a lot of the seminars and trade shows which were related to the industry that we were catering to, and not to print trade shows. So we were participating in a lot of direct marketing expos, a lot of direct marketing trade shows. In fact, we have spent much more time attending our clients' trade shows rather than we have printing trade shows, and this allowed us to gather a great network of companies who were looking at solutions from India for their direct marketing requirements. The second thing that we were very much focused on was providing a complete in-house solution, wherein the client could just share the artwork with us. We would make whatever changes, etc., they would require. We would produce all the material in-house, and we would also provide them distribution services which they could use to send their material all over the world to the end customer. So in essence, a customer basically had to just share their data, share their artworks, and the rest of the job was handled by us. But we further used this opportunity to build our core capabilities around other services that the clients would require. For example, once the direct marketing material was purely for purchase of, say, certain products. So there is a direct marketing offer which goes to a customer, which is personalized, which says that we are selling so-and-so product. If you would like to purchase, please place your order. So along with sending the printed material, we also started sourcing products which our clients were selling and offering fulfillment services for that, wherein then the order would come to us. We would store the products in bulk and fulfill each and every order for our clients. So this increased our clients' dependency on us, and that gave us an opportunity to further grow the business. The other thing that was most important for us when we were looking at the export markets was having the relevant certifications, as well as having a world-class facility basis which our clients could trust the fact that they were sending all their sensitive information to India for production. And because of that, we have, right from the start, we were focused on establishing an excellent production facility with all the latest of cutting edge technology in order to build trust amongst our clients. So our main factor was that once our client visits our factory, they will be confident that yes, this printer in India can definitely cope up with our requirements and can definitely service the kind of requirements we have here and match up to any other European or American printer. The second thing was, because we were handling sensitive client data, it was very important for us to get the relevant certifications which give confidence to the client. So we are an ISO 27001 certified company for handling sensitive intellectual property from the clients. Having this certification gave confidence to our clients that yes, these people know how to handle sensitive information, and that our data will not be misused in any circumstance. So that was another exercise in building confidence along with our clients. And over a period of years, we've the best way for us to increase our business was word of mouth. By providing these different kind of services, by giving a client a complete solution around their entire business, our clients were so happy and so comfortable with us that they recommended us to other people within their industry, which allowed us opportunities to grow our business and to get into relationships with newer clients. And word of mouth recommendations have also been an extremely strong factor for us to be able to increase our business. We also, my aunt, who was the co-founder along with my father, was based in the US. So having a presence in the market that you're catering to is also a critical function, because being in the US, my aunt was able to meet with clients regularly to build various leads which could generate new business for us. And that's how we were, that was another approach which helped us. At this stage, currently, with the lockdown and with the current situation globally, what we are seeing is that our clients who've been in touch with us, they've said that everything is, the business, once it resumes, is going to be at a much higher level, because they want to recoup from the losses that they might have incurred during this lockdown period and during this quarantine. We are also again seeing that a lot of new clients are approaching us saying that they want to be less dependent on Chinese manufacturing, which is giving us an opportunity to step in. We are also seeing that that globally, because of the way India has been shaping up, also because of the way things are being, because of the improvements in industry, etc. What we are seeing is that they're considering India as a major manufacturing destination, and that trust is already there as compared to when we started earlier. So that's how I believe that going forward, it's few of the basic things, once we get right and once we are addressing the industry that we want to be in, that there is a lot of scope for us to be able to expand into exports. And because the government is also supporting exporters with coming up with various schemes which help to generate opportunity within exports, I see that as a added benefit for exporters as well. That's all from my side. I'm available for any questions that you guys might have. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Prithviraj. So that was a wonderful introduction to your company. You started telling the roadmap of how, as an outsourcing business, it turned into an in-house printing business, along with how you came into distribution and fulfillment of clients. I guess change is the only constant, and therefore the progress in which you have moved your company has made you stable during this period of COVID. That's one lesson that we have to learn. You can't just remain with one business. You have to keep evolving and adopting new concepts and technologies. So that's a good one. And then the strengths that you have highlighted is that you have got an in-house world-class facility, and the certifications that you have procured have made the US market, the foreign market, come to you. The client confides in you because of your international standards, and also the certification about sensitive information is calling more customers towards you. So these are some things that we have to definitely ensure that in our unit we are able to know what the customer requirements are and establish that in our unit. That's a good one. And the word of mouth recommendation is a good one. Presence of one of your people in the market is another lesson that we have to take home. And your global presence has made you an alternate choice for China. Alternate choice. Instead of China, people can come to you. And on a positive note, India is a very trustworthy country, is a good one to live here, and that the government is supporting us is also a positive note. I think this will be very encouraging to most of the most of the attendants who are here, attendees. You spoke about certification. We have the next speaker who is going to speak in detail about more certifications. We have Mr. Ankit Thana here from Printman, Mumbai. He is a graduate from in MBS, BMS from University of Mumbai. He has had a master's degree in MSc Finance from Manchester Business School, UK. He is he's specializing on procurement and finance. So his company is involved in pharmaceutical and commercial printing and packaging. They have a dedicated workforce who are capable of offering 24/7 non-stop production operations, and they have a lot of certifications with them. I think you are the right person to talk to us about certifications. Ankit Thana, please take over.
Thank you, Dr. Lakshmipriya and Kamalji, for letting me speak on this webinar. I would just like to tell you first about Printman. We are a packaging solution provider which is providing to the pharmaceutical, FMCG, and the food sector. We are a 33-year-old firm, and 50% of our revenues, they come from direct or indirect exports. So the topic I've chosen today is basically how certifications has helped the export percentage of revenue from being only 10% 5 to 7 years back to being more than 50% today, and how these certifications can be used as an opportunity during this crisis and post this crisis to be a differentiating factor. So Printman has the following certifications, and I think my friend Prithvi gave us a good insight on how it is important. So Printman is an ISO 9001:2018 certified company. We are also a PS 9000 certified company, which is pharma standards because we are supplying to pharmaceutical sector. We are BRC IOP certified, which is British Retail Consortium for Food Packaging. We are SEDEX approved. SEDEX is basically the new sort of certification which is for the HR side of the business, the social auditing, what we speak about. And we are also an ISO 15378 company for our primary packaging division. So we are supplying cartons, labels, leaflets, as well as aluminum foil to the sectors which I've already mentioned. So let me just speak about certifications and their importance. Before starting, I would like to just say 3 ground rules if you want to get any certifications and if you want them to really help. The first of them is that the commitment has to come from the top. It has to come from you, the business owner, that you want to implement this, and then that will translate to the people below you. Second is, please do it for yourself and do it for your pride and the pride of your workers, and don't do it for any client. That's the time when it truly gets implemented. And third, please treat it as an investment, something like an education which you take over the years. You get the returns by a good life ahead. So certifications is an investment which will give you intangible benefits in the future, and please don't treat it as an expense or a cost. So basically there are 2 different types of certifications today. One is the quality certifications, the ones which I spoke about, like the ISOs and the BRC IOPs and for food packaging and all. And there is a second sort of certification which is related to HSE, which is health, safety and environment, which I think is going to gain a lot more importance than it has in the last 3 years due to the pandemic, which we all are going through. So let me give you a brief about both. Quality certifications basically deals with creating SOPs. SOPs is nothing but standard operating procedures for every process in your organization. It basically says artwork comes, we give a step and repeat. So it's basically just writing down what you're actually doing and then creating a process manual or a quality manual, which basically helps anyone who's joining your organization to read those SOPs and just implementing it, so that you don't have to give training to each and everyone. They can just read that. So I suggest that these type of SOPs and manuals which you create should be in the local language, so that even the helper can read about it, and it should be displayed all along the factory. The second and more important as of today is the health, safety and environmental certifications. You can take a certification which is SEDEX. What today's MNCs basically, and big companies which from where we are expecting that China is not going to be a hub anymore and India is going to be a hub. When companies abroad are going to come, they are not going to come and to your factory to see whether you can do this print job or no, because there are thousands of us who can do the same print job with the same quality. What they are going to come and see is whether you have the standard operating procedures, what I spoke about, to create this same product 50 times in the same way and with the same quality. They are also going to come and see whether you are taking care of your workers so that they are going to be healthy and they are going to give you that product. They are also going to see whether you are taking care of the environment which is around you and also within your factory. So there are basically consultants who guide you through these certifications to get these different kind of certifications. But since we are in this forum, let me just give you 1 or 2 tips which will give you the confidence to start these to get into these certifications. For quality certifications, just hire one guy from your company, send him to the shop floor and simply tell him to write down how each process is done. If you are doing printing, how you are doing it, how you are putting the job on the machine, what is the speed you are running at, what is it, how you are following it. So it becomes an operating procedure for any new printer which comes into your factory. For health and safety, I think the best start, and I think COVID-19 has automatically got us into that, but we've been doing that since the past 2-3 years, is you can provide PPE, which is personal protective equipment, to all your workers. What I mean by PPE is, it's basic things like safety shoes. If he's on the shop floor, something falls on his legs, he should not fracture his leg. So you give industrial standard safety shoes. Our machines, printing machines, run at decibel levels which are much higher than the designated decibel levels which a human ear can take. So we must give them ear plugs. We can give them gloves when they are using chemicals so that they don't get direct contact with the chemicals, because most of them are flammable. We can give them masks. We can give them headgears. This, I think, is a good start for all of us if you want to get towards compliance and face all these audits which come from foreign companies. So this is a small brief about certifications. I can obviously talk about it a lot more, but keeping respect of the time given to each panelist, I would just like to end by saying that in such times, when we are crawling back to work, we should not be worried about how people are going to come back and operate and what will be the mental state. The certifications which we have made us create certain standard operating procedures in terms of human resource as well as quality and processes. So when people come back after a month, 2 months, since all of this is being written and all of this is being documented, they know what they are already expecting because it's well written down. So I would suggest use this time to upgrade ourselves and to get these certifications so that it helps us in the future to get all these export orders and big companies. Thank you.
Thank you, Ankit. That was wonderful. I think the audience would have enjoyed that because this is a new arena for most of them. So you have been giving the 3 ground rules which many in the audience have been appreciating. I can see some of the text there. Commitment from you for certification, and you should not do it for the sake of others, but do it for yourself. And treat it as an investment are 3 beautiful rules to go in for certification. There are many people who still hesitate on going in for certification, I still understand. And the 2 types of certification that you spoke about was quality and HSE. And quality is as simple as just writing down the procedures, SOP. This should be an eye-opener for many of the MSME printers here. you just need to send your worker and tell him to write down the process and come back. It could be in your vernacular regional language as well, and put it up on the walls everywhere so people get it in them, the procedures. And it's not a procedure for each person individually, it has to be standardized. That's a very good concept. And the next one you spoke about was HSC, Health, Safety and Environment. To start with, just giving them the protective equipment would make us venture into this health and safety, and slowly we can move on to certification. And the benefit of the certification, you said, is whenever there is a global business and audits come, just by looking at these documentation and your environment with the certification would give a better impression and have more chances for us to enter into the global business. And people who are already certified will have less worries when they go back after this COVID period, especially because all procedures are there. Even a new worker comes in, he can seamlessly continue with, join in and get into job. That's a good one. Thank you, Ankit. I think this is one of the reasons why we put a panel of young generation, so that this sequence of topics that you have all chosen fits in well. Our next speaker is Ramanathan. He is going to talk to us about digital transformation. That's another area which we need to listen from the young generation. Ramanathan from Sri Vinayaka Screens Madurai and Karur is a BE in printing technology from PVG Pune. He's a gold medalist from there. He's the managing director, and they are one of the largest commercial offset and packaging print houses in South Tamil Nadu. They have adopted the latest technology. They have Heidelberg and they are with Canon. So on the social front also, Ramanathan is very active, and he's a part of many associations and clubs with leading roles. So Ramanathan, please tell us about digital transformation in the print industry. Over to you.
Thank you very much, ma'am, for a nice introduction. And first, I would like to thank Mr. Kamal Chopra and Dr. Lakshmi Priya for this opportunity given to me among the topmost printers of the country and young generation. I'm very happy and glad to be a part of it. So to begin with, Ankit, you spoke very well. It was a good takeaway for me as well. So I'd like to start with a quote. Change is the only constant thing in life and which is inevitable. I repeat, change is the only constant thing in life which is inevitable. So to begin with, I'd like to remember a small incident which happened with Mr. Kamal Chopra 4 years back when he came to Madurai. We were having breakfast together, a hot cup of coffee and 2 vada, and we were discussing on how digital printing is taking over offset printing and how digital media is taking over the actual printing. So it was a healthy, hot discussion, I would like to tell you. And we mutually agreed upon that in 10 years that digital will be ruling the market when compared to the print media. So this was the mutual confirmation, like agreed on this particular decision. So let us come to the current scenario. We are all locked down due to the COVID-19. So many must have told you about the virus corona, the many things which you must have heard online and in papers everywhere. But there is one perspective which I have thought about it. Corona is a virus which actually is a catalyst into the digital transformation. Many must not have thought in that way. Actually, the digital transformation was already happening, but due to this corona, it acted as a catalyst and has made this digital transformation in much faster phase that we cannot imagine. For an example, if you take movies, we all would love to watch movies in a theater, but now movies are transformed to Netflix, Amazon Prime and other OTT media. The meetings, without Zoom, it's not possible that we have met each other right now, because this is the peak time of business for each and every one of us. We are sitting at home, few of us are sitting in office and meeting each other. So this is a transformation of meeting from the actual meeting to a digital platform. Software people always used to work in office. Now the work from home culture has come completely inside the market. So that is something new which are seen. So for small printers in South India, I'll tell an example. In South India, from where I come from, marriage is a big thing. So we call around 3,000, 4,000 people in marriage, and otherwise it's not treated as a marriage. So there is a big business of marriage invitation which is going on in south part of Tamil Nadu especially. So many printers, many small printers are completely dependent on this marriage invitation as their bread and butter. Now think about them. The government has strictly told only 20 people will be attending a marriage. So what will happen to them? Today morning, I was attending a BNI meeting where my friend, a photographer, was telling me a concept of live streaming during marriages. In this time, he has conducted around 7 marriages where more than 800, 900 people attended through live streaming. And the gifts have been passed through Paytm and other Google apps. So friends, my dear friends, I'd like to tell you the transformation has already begun. And I repeat that that's going to happen in much, much, much faster pace than we can imagine because of our invisible terrorist corona. So there is one bad habit of a human being that we always resist change. We don't accept change. But there is a psychology study which happened in United States that once a person starts doing something, yeah, initially he is very against change, but once he tastes something else, or once he is done something which he is not to do, and if he starts liking it, there is a habit of human being that he continues doing it. So abhi meeting, just many ask for Hindi, abhi meeting Zoom mein attend kar diya, if he starts liking it, then people will start want to have Zoom meeting rather than having a regular meeting. Ab online mein, if we have seen a shadi, then people will want to have online shadis and not actual wedding because the cost is less. So but what is, this is all negative point. What is a good point for a printer like us, a small printer like us? What is a good thing? If you ask me, I'll tell you, my dear friends, the volume of commercial printing jobs is really going to reduce. The volume of commercial printing jobs is going to reduce. So what is a good point about it? Yeah, if the volume is reducing, the changeover is going to increase. So as the changeover will increase, the profitability of each and every job will be, I actually told you the quantity of a job is going to reduce. So the value addition of each and every job is going to increase, and so as your profitability. Value addition, what is value addition? You can say variable data printing, handwork, customization, you can directly mail. So these are some of the value addition which you can do for your clients. So the big enemy of today's commercial printing is credit. So after this time, I am sure none of us is going to give credit for our clients. I am talking only in the perspective of commercial printing. So that is one big advantage of post COVID situation, which I feel is very important. And only the fast can survive after this situation. The fast, you mean we all will be forced to deliver our goods yesterday. I repeat, we all will be forced to deliver our goods yesterday. So that will be the case post COVID. So what will happen is we will be doing more jobs. That is going to happen. So all small printers will try to do more jobs and get more profit out of it. So why are we actually promoting ourselves as a commodity? I am not a printer. Try to promote yourself as a solution provider. I am not a printer. I am a media consulting firm. I am a branding solution provider. I do marketing and distribution of flyers, brochures. So this is how you have to promote yourself as a not as a commodity, and as a solution provider. And when it comes to packaging, customized short-run packaging solutions are going to be in long demand. There are very few printers who do short-run UV printing. So that is going to be a demand. And there is a very niche market which does not fall in the category of digital and does not fall in the category of offset as well. There is a thin line of jobs which is there. Try to concentrate on niche markets, and that is where your profit will be. So you have to work on yourself. So I already told you that we have to be a solution provider, like a marketing solution provider, because we have printed brochures for so many years. We have printed flyers for so many years. We have designers. We already have it in us. So why don't we, when a software company can do media promotion in Facebook and this, why can't we do it? Why can't we look in that perspective? We are not just printers. We can do everything. We already have it. We know the colors. We have everything with us. Better we use everything. So the 6 minutes was the time which was given to me. So before closing this, my part of segment, I'd like to leave you with a positive quote, which is, change is the hardest thing in the beginning. Change is the hardest thing in the beginning, messiest in the middle, and the best in the end. Thank you very much for the opportunity. Thank you.
Ramanathan, that was a very motivating speech. I think the audience would have all got inspired by the way you promoted digital. Yeah, very sure that we understand change is the only constant and the inevitable. To move into the digital media, you have given a number of examples. So wedding has now become live streaming, and then we have the addiction to digital media, Netflix and other things. So the opportunity you say for the printers is that we have to focus on value addition. Of course, the cost will reduce per number of quantity will reduce, but you can increase the cost. So commercial printing jobs, the challenge is taking up credit jobs. And one other pointer you said is only the past will survive. We need to start looking at how we can deliver yesterday. So, and another thing is, don't look at yourself as a printer, look at yourself as a solution provider. Don't just do printing alone. We know the colors. So start looking at how you can provide branding solutions and look at it on a larger scale. And on the packaging, short run UV has a good scope, you say. Thank you very much. So we will move on to the next speaker. The next speaker is Mr. Mahesh. Mr. Mahesh Karthik Suresh of STR and Sons Kochi. He has had his education. He's a doctorate in print media, graphic arts from International University, Malaysia. He is trained in production and management in print media from the world-renowned Heidelberg in Germany, and he's also trained in print media at the Glasgow Metropolitan College in the UK. He heads the finance and business development, and the highlights are he has been instrumental in setting up the multi-core project of STR and Sons, the state-of-the-art printing unit at Kakinada, and they have also adopted green printing processes, and he has been instrumental in also getting a lot of awards for his company. He will talk to us about publication and packaging exports. Over to you, Mahesh.
Everyone, thank you, ma'am, and thank you, Kamalji, for this opportunity that you've given me. Let's just face it, it's the toughest time that we have ever faced. I've seen 2 floods in Kerala consistently in the last 2 years, 2018 being the worst of it. And after that, we had a catastrophic fire accident last year. Just when I thought the worst is already past, I think the biggest test is yet to come. I'm not going into specifics of what is going to happen and how we have to deal with that, because it's constantly evolving. I think it's come to a point where we have to watch the news to understand what kind of decisions that we have to take in our organization. But looking at it from an optimistic perspective, hope has been our greatest weapon against all these uncertainties. And let's hope that with hope that this also will be by and will come out on top. Now, the topic that I want to talk today is very basic information, basically sharing my experience with the export market that we have been involved in with regard to publication industry, which is something that we have been doing for many years now. I'm actually the 3rd generation in my press who's been involved in publication exports. Basically started by my grandfather, and all 3 generations have done this. And we've also ventured into packaging exports in the last 3 years. So just thought I'll share some very basic info of what we did in order to get through to the export market. Before getting into the specifics, I will just categorize exports into 2 segments, basic segmentation. One is direct exports, where you directly export to a client sitting abroad. And secondly, we are talking about deemed exports, which is some company which is based in India, a foreign company or Indian company, wherein you form a supply chain to that company. Now, I somehow feel this is a segment that's going to grow. The deemed part of the export is the segment that's going to grow. Even if we get more jobs from newer markets post this corona problem, I feel it's going to be in the deemed export market, because more companies, in corona or not, more companies are looking to come to India, and more Indian companies are also looking to export their stuff. So now coming to publication export, we've dealt with all sorts of publications. So as simple as a yearbook or a community magazine for an Indian diaspora abroad, to a very large publication house which has huge demands. Now, what I've observed is the publication industry is something that is constantly evolving. If you look at the business model of someone like Bruda Group today, it's something I've never seen in India before. So that change in the publication industry has to be understood very well in order to cater to that industry. But I think it's still very lucrative. It is far more simpler, and to an extent, I feel it is a little more profitable. Thing is, one side you look at publishing, you will see volumes going down. You will have to see whether you are investing digital to go forward, or you have to stick to your traditional offset, web or whatever. The other side, when you look at publication, you will see that you are suddenly overwhelmed with so much quantity that your facility may not be enough. So it is very important to look at what type of publication that you're getting into, and accordingly try to invest or think about investing in such an area. The old thumb rule is definitely understand the market that you're getting into. I'm saying that packaging is publication is lucrative probably because of our experience. It could not be need not be the truth. I mean, whoever is being into packaging should know that better. Well, the second vertical is definitely packaging exports. This is something that I am very new to, and I see that a lot of the panelists today are also getting into packaging. So I'm a new entrant into packaging. We started full-fledged in 2016. It's exactly now 3 years. I'm sorry, 4 years. And packaging, it's far more complicated. The challenges that we face with packaging are way complicated. I think we've heard Ankit talk about a lot of the certifications. Now it's easier said than done. To get into these certifications, it's far, far more difficult. Before getting into packaging, what I thought and what we actually got into in 4 years is it's a long, lengthy, difficult process for which you have to be prepared. This is a good time to understand these processes. Rather than getting into them, you can understand how long it's going to take, how much changes that you have to do amongst your workforce, your process, everything that you've done till today might change to get into these certifications and processes. Now, my specialty in packaging export is food packaging. I got to food packaging in 2008 by starting export of paper cups to the US market. This I did with a friend who was involved in doing everything other than printing. It was easy because somebody else was engaged in making the cups, which is an equally difficult process as printing it. So such a consortium or thoughts about such consortium of coming together of 2-3 people is a good thing in this tough times, because you may not be able to invest yourself into all those investments that you need in order to go into packaging exports. But 3 years ago, we did every major investment that we needed to do in order to get into packaging. What I found is that the obligation that you have towards the legal system as well as towards the moral or social system is very high. I think briefly Ankit spoke about it. I'll just give a small example of what I mean by that obligation. So we went to US in 2018, a year or so after, a year or 2 years after we started packaging. And I found that one of our family members was opening a box that we printed and unloading the contents to make our lunch. So it comes down to that. It is what you're going to eat. It's what your family is going to eat. So your obligation towards getting it right is absolute, and there is no scope for error. There is also this experience that I had in 2017 that I want to share with everybody. I had the absolute pleasure of meeting Mr. Ramesh Kejriwal of Parsons during one of the seminar sessions that he had conducted in Cochin. I was at the starting of my career with packaging at the time in 2017. So I asked him, sir, what is that I have to look out for? So he had a 9 or 10 point discussion during the seminar, and I said that, look, I'm going to discuss everything tomorrow, but today I'll talk about 3 important things. One is investment, the other is knowledge, and the third thing is location. Now, what I found is when you hear about these things, it's so simple, and you will think about, oh, what's in it. But what I found out is that during the last 3 years, all these 3 factors were the most important things when it comes to conversion into packaging, especially exports, because the variables for exports are far higher. Now, as this packaging has a lot more variables in each of its segments, like if you talk about food, it has a set of variables which are completely different from, say, an FMCG. I'm talking about investments, not about actual print variables. The investment is something that has very little common factor. So when you invest into one sector, you might not be capable enough to do another sector. I think one of my very good friends and a panelist here today, Ankit, had told me again in that session, who was also a speaker, he said that you should rather be a specialist in one sector. And I think that's the key here. The most important thing when it comes to packaging export, or even if it's any kind of export, is to understand what your strengths are. In my case, my strength was with food packaging, so we pursued it. Based on that understanding, the next important step is to do a market research in the potential markets that you are going to get into. That's where I think the digital part of some of the speakers that spoke today will come into effect. Talk to agencies online, get the report online rather than being there and trying to get a visual confirmation of what market you're getting into, which is very much possible. This is the time that we can use activities. A proper market study will go a long way in terms of a successful export venture. And to conclude, I will again emphasize by saying, by quoting Mr. Kejriwal again, he again told me about a story about how Unilever came to him in the initial days of getting into packaging because of his knowledge on printing playing cards. The color knowledge that he had in order to get playing cards done was one of the reasons why Unilever saw him as a potential supplier. So definitely it is important to understand your strengths and proceed with it, believe in it. The next thing that I would like to say is to weigh your options with investment very carefully. That is a big challenge today because you have so many people around, and I see that there are more marketing guys than technical guys. So getting the investment right is an important thing. Even if you take time, doing the right investment will beat you to your competition. So with all that, I am hopeful that we'll also be able to get through the tough times and get ahead with whatever that comes our way. Thank you.
Thank you, Mahesh. That was a nice one. So you started off saying that COVID is not the first catastrophe for you. You've already seen the fire a few months back, and you are a right person to tell people to be more optimistic. And in terms of export, there are two types, direct and deemed export. And you foresee that the deemed export, that is being a part of the supply chain to another company, has more scope. So that's an option for most of the MSME printers to join in as part of that supply chain. And in terms of publication, we need to understand the type of publication, whether it is low or high, understand our strengths and try to get into the publication exports. In terms of packaging also, it's very complicated. And if people are planning to venture into public packaging, then they have to understand the process now because it's complicated. You need to prepare. They can use this time now to prepare. One other suggestion is when you join with a non-printing friend, you get to know about the other different sectors, and then it is possible to do a joint venture. The variables of exporting packaging from the mouths of Kejriwal, you say, is investment, knowledge, and location. That are three essential variables. So like this, everybody has to look at what are the strengths, identify the market research, and then get involved. And you suggest that this is the right time for them to make a study now. Thank you very much. Now we'll move on to the next speaker, Mr. Manu Chowdhury of CDC Printers, Kolkata. He is a director at CDC. He is a BTech in Computer Science from National Institute of Technology, Nagpur. He has done his MS in Print Media from Rochester Institute of Technology, USA. He is a specialist in color management. He is now in operations and MIS systems. So he is here to talk to us about 3 myths of higher profitability, automation, Industry 4.0 and ERP. Over to Manu.
Good afternoon, everyone. Very much thank you to Kamalji and Dr. Lakshmi ma'am. As we've discussed, everybody's spoken about what are the things that is going to happen post-COVID. The demand is going to be very low. It's going to be very unpredictable. The run lengths, which were already becoming shorter and shorter, are going to plummet even more. The primary objective of us would be to be much better at servicing, be much faster, be much more efficient, and the clients would obviously be looking at much lower costs. So when we talk of these kind of improvements or these kind of scenarios, a lot of people talk about automation, bringing in automation, or having a full-fledged ERP, or even the machine manufacturers talk about Industry 4.0 as the way for future, as the solutions to the problems that we are facing. I have a slightly different perspective when it comes to these points. So let us start with the first point as ERP. So the goal of any operations is to have a very smooth flow once we receive a customer order to dispatch. There should not be any traffic jams. There should not be, the order shouldn't be getting stuck on the shop floor here and there. But if we walk into any printing plant, most of the printing plants, I won't say all the printing, most of the printing plants, what we'll find is there are a lot of work in progress lying in front of all the workstations, and to the point as in there is so much of work in progress. The only limitation is if they had more space, there would probably even be more work in progress. And so because of there is so much of work in progress materials lying across the floor, there are a lot of traffic jams, and then the supervisors, they are randomly rescheduling the assignments that they have based on how much scolding they are receiving from the customer relationship team, based on how much clients are shouting on them. So that's the current scenario that that is there in the plants in most places. ERP, is it anywhere trying to solve this problem currently? No, they are not. What they are currently doing is they are trying to digitize the paper formats that we've always had for years. So like we have always had job card registers or production reports. All we are trying to do is digitalize those formats so that those informations is available everywhere. So this can be easily done in a spreadsheet as well. So it's basically the currently what we're using ERP as, it's like an Excel on steroids. A lot of people say that your profits will improve with ERP. I'm sure a lot of people have invested in ERPs. They have invested lakhs of rupees, months of time, but I'm not sure if any company can claim that just because they've implemented ERP, they have had substantial improvements in profits just because of the ERP. Another problem is when a customer calls you and tells you that this is the job that I want to get processed and I want it in 3 days time. Can your ERP instantly tell you whether you can do it or not? And if you are able to do it, what are the other jobs that will get stuck because of this? No. Some people have managed to find an answers to these problems, and they have used ERP as building blocks to get these answers. And if we speak to them, it's not the ERP specifically which has helped them. They could have used any other ERP or even spreadsheets to find these answers. So the problem lies much deeper. Problem lies in trying to eliminate these traffic jams that we have on our production plants. And ERP is not the solution. It's not like we buy an ERP, we implement it, and this solution, these problems will go away. The other thing that people talk about is you have to bring in automation to cut cost to improve the productivity. The machine manufacturers will say, I have a fully automated plate changing system. This will save 20 minutes in your make ready time. So let's, in a very general scenario globally in all manufacturing plants, we understand that the time that we spend on actually processing a job is less than 10% compared to the time that the job is actually there on a flow. From the time when the customer orders it and till the time we dispatch, it's even less than 10%. So if we are able, let's say we have a job, and if we actually calculate the time we are actually processing it is 1 day, and we are actually delivering in 7 days, if we are able to save 20 minutes or 30 minutes in one particular area of that process, we are really not affecting the overall picture. There is a massive improvement which can be done to shorten the waiting period. And automation in one area can really not bring about this change. In fact, what we'll do is we'll make it worse. We'll bring in an automatic machine. We'll think that is an expensive machine. We need to run it all the time. And in order to do that, we'll make it produce more and more, causing more traffic jams. People say that we will cut costs because we've implemented automation. We in CDC have brought in a lot of equipments to eliminate the older versions of it. We've brought in automations, but never have we fired anybody just because we've procured a new machine. In fact, on the contrary, we have hired an even more skilled person to run those automated new machines. So maybe for that small process, maybe let's say a binding process, you've eliminated few laborers, but then we have not fired them. So the overall cost for the company has not really gone down. In fact, it's gone up. So where is this concept coming from that we are saving costs because we're bringing in automation? And this is not just in India or in printing industry. Globally, very rarely we find a situation that we are able to fire people just because we have purchased a more automated equipment. The third point, which everybody talks of, Industry 4.0 is the future. Last year, Drupa had small examples of Industry 4.0. I'm sure this year it would have been full of Industry 4.0. Everybody would have been just demonstrating how Industry 4.0 is going to make our life excellent. What is Industry 4.0? They are talking about IoT. They're talking about sensors they've put in their machines, which will sense the temperature, the vibrations, and they will send it to their central database where all this big data, they will capture all the information and do predictive maintenance. Come on, the printing industry, at least the smaller sectors, MSMEs like us, we are struggling with breakdowns. We are constantly struggling with breakdowns. We have not even gone into the area of implementing good, efficient, preventive maintenance to ensure 80% or 85, 90% of our machines are always running. Where is this predictive maintenance going to help? It's only after we cross the initial foundations, we are able to build those initial foundations, then only these Industry 4.0 can take it little further. But without even reaching there, these are only marketing gimmicks, according to me. People talk about cloud computing. The ERP systems or IT systems that we've put it in our premises, they are not able to solve the current challenges that we have. How are they going to solve it if we put it on the cloud? I mean, the challenges are still going to remain the same. So these are very tough times right now, and we need very structural changes and not these marketing gimmicks. So we have to understand the real problems that we are currently facing, like why these traffic jams are happening across our plant, what should we actually do to eliminate this, how can we have a more transparent communication with our customers. These are the areas I believe should be the primary concern of focus, rather than only talking of automation, ERP, Industry 4.0. With that, I would like to end my presentation. Thank you so much for the patience.
Thank you, Manu. Your presentation was wonderful. I was waiting to hear that Industry 4.0 automation and ERP are the need of the day, but it's the contradiction. Okay, that's a good myth of higher profitability. That's right. So you have started off telling the primary objective now is for better services and faster, lower cost, good production, things like that. So at this time of survival, we have to look at what are the opportunities for us to enhance the production and ensure that our production is going on. And there should not be people going into automation, ERP and industry to save, as you say, the traffic in the shop floor, to save the time and things like that. So you have put in a very nice way to say that people don't blindly go after ERP, Industry 4.0 and automation. You have suggested people do a proper structural change. Thank you very much. The next speaker of the day is Mr. Datta Bora of 7 Stars, Guwahati. He's going to talk to us about what will change and what AIFMP is working to do. Okay, how come we have a person here with, in this small next generation people talking about AIFMP? That's because Mr. Datta is the 4th generation printer. He's the director of 7 Stars, and he's into the roles that he does. If you see, he's the joint secretary or honorary joint secretary of AIMP. He has been vice president East and in several other organizations. So let us hear from Mr. Datta Bora about what AIFMP is working on. Over to you, sir.
Good afternoon. I have been listening to all the speakers speaking and such wonderful insights I've got. My thanks to Kamalji and Dr. Lakshmi Priya for giving me this opportunity for being part of this wonderful group. I'll be speaking of a slightly more mundane thing which many printers in India will be facing. You see, 85% of printers in India are micro and small printers. They are mostly operating with 10 people, 5 people, 50 people at the most maybe. So these people will have got a completely different take on the whole crisis which is going on right now. So what is going to change for all these printers? Well, in the business is going to contract in the short term, definitely. There will be less walk-ins, less discretionary spending. So people will not be spending on promotions, on luxury or comfort goods. So this will ultimately translate to less jobs for many printers. The print, as for example, print media, newspapers, magazines are already feeling the pinch. There's much less spent on ads now. But this obviously it's going to be short term, so you have to be prepared for change later on. So now, what is the solution? How do you go about this? One thing is increase your presence on online platforms. You see, many people have still not graduated to using email. You see, this is a very basic thing which many people are using for tens of years now. So just invest in small, simple solutions. Email, WhatsApp, get in touch with your contacts, use non-physical contact systems. Like Mr. Prithviraj Desai has said, mail order solution has been using this for service customers for a long time. So use simpler things. So what will happen is that then you'll be able to reach out to a much wider customer base. And now the other thing which we have to have a problem with is we are going to have to reduce physical bodies on a shop floor. Now the requirement is you can't have more than 50% staff. So what do you do now? You have to change your workflow. Your customer servicing system has to change. Use FaceTime, use Zoom, use WhatsApp. Talk to your customers. Use Google Pay, use UPI. And for the workflow, you have to invest in training of your staff and multi-scaling. You might have a binder who has been folding paper for a long time. Many presses in India are still using manual labor for these jobs. So you also train him to use equipment. Then what will happen is that the guy who is folding, when he doesn't have folding work, he'll also be able to do other work. And Mr. Manu Chaudhary was just speaking about ERP to manage the chaos in printing. So maybe you can do it on a smaller scale. Maybe you can think about it. Use Excel. Learning Excel is a very basic thing nowadays. Many people, students are learning Excel, but many of our printers do not know it at all. Maybe invest in small things like this. And there's also one more thing which I'd like to place here, that there's going to be an increased cost due to compliance and logistical issues. So you have to provide facilities to workers like accommodation and transport, which might not be possible for many. You have to invest in additional sanitation, additional cleaning. You have to also think about maintaining additional stock of raw materials and spares in anticipation of future lockdowns. So this is the new normal now. Things like these are going to keep on happening all through. So what I'd say is that one more thing is that's very important for small micro printers is that think about clusters. You see, MSEB has got a very interesting scheme which will help you come together. So pool together your resources, pool together your skills, so that you can service customers more efficiently without duplicating equipment, without duplicating your space requirements, duplicating workers. In this way, the smaller printers will be able to survive. Now I'd like to move on to what AIFMP has been doing. AIFMP has already conducted an online survey from the 18th to 25th of April on the current status of printers in India. About a few hundred replies have already been received till the close of the survey, and now they will compile and analyze. So based on this, the future strategy vis-a-vis the government and the authorities will be planned. And also on the 24th of March, a letter had gone out to the Finance Minister and the Prime Minister talking about fixed charges, statutory dues, the moratorium which is on loans and all that. So we hope that the authorities ultimately think about this. And also on 22nd April, which is a landmark, 13 organizations all over the country, including AIFMP and IPAMA and ink manufacturers, screen printers, even label manufacturers, packaging, corrugated box manufacturers, everyone has got together and sent a joint appeal to the Prime Minister. So we hope that ultimately these come to the ears of the authorities. And also that one more request to all our printers, get together, talk, like what we are doing here today. We are using a digital platform and talking, we are discussing, we are getting new ideas from everyone. This is very important. So talk to your association, talk to your neighbor. You might have a printer next door who you don't even know. You should talk to him. See what he is doing, how is he facing his problems. Unless we get together and get organized, I don't think we'll be able to progress very far. So I'd like to conclude. Thank you very much for the opportunity. We'd like to move on. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Vora. To summarize what you have said, you started off with a very nice tone, highlighting, just a minute. you started off saying that most of the printers are MSMEs, and then the print media is already reducing, so we have a lot of threats ahead of us. And as a solution, you have suggested that people go online presence, and online is not a big difficulty. I think they can start off with small ones, like starting with email and WhatsApp business has been in common practice for most of the people. And for non-contact communication, this can be used, which is essentially the need of the hour. And in the case of workflow change, which is essential because we will not have too many employees, people can go in for multi-skilled personnel. People can also take a look at simple tools like MS Excel, so that it is very needed for the post-COVID situation. You have also given us ideas on pooling MSMEs to form clusters, and you have spoken about the AIFMP survey and the meeting organized among the various association heads last week, and then that they have appealed to the minister. That's a real positive note, which I think will be encouraging to most of the MSMEs. We hope something very good happens. You have also suggested networking with the fellow printers and association is the need of the day, and let's get organized. Thank you very much. I would like to hand over to Mr. Kamal Chopra.
Yeah, thank you, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am. You know, in the beginning, I just raised a coupling that ab tumhare hawale watan sathiyo. But I've seen that after listening to all them, that my printing is in the firm hands. I don't have to worry now. Now I can sleep a good night. Good sleeps I will have, because now I understand that I don't have to worry. So before going to the question answer, I have with us some very eminent persons. I will like them to call one by one so that they can just say hello and they can shower their blessings to these persons. So first of all, I will like to call, not in a particular order, our Satish Malhotra ji.
Yes. Well, Kamalji and all the panelists to whom I have listened, let me admit that this was one of the best kind of webinars which I have attended in the last few days. We belong to the elder generation, and maybe our thought process are conditioned to conventional ways of working. But listening to this young generation, a lot of optimism, with a lot of sensitivity to all what is going around. And as you rightly said, I think with pride I can say that we are in the right hands, and our younger generations are really going to do us proud. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. I would like to call Mr. Suren Dhote.
It's wonderful, Kamalji, that you have done. Secondly, I would say that the younger generation is thinking a little bit far ahead from us, and they are doing really nice. I appreciate that idea, and your blessings and your searching out for the people like this is wonderful. Everybody is doing fine, and I bless them, and I want that they should come up, and we are in the right hands, and the industry is going to definitely grow with a new thinking, whatever they have thought about. Okay, thank you very much, and I bless them once more, and I congratulate everybody, including Madam. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. So I may introduce Mr. Satish Malhotra and Surendra. They were our former presidents of All India Federation of Master Printers. So we have with us Mr. Ashwini Gupta, who is the treasurer of All India Federation of Master Printers. Ashwini ji, we are listening.
Good morning to all. Kamalji, you along with Dr. Lakshmi Priya, you are doing marvelous. This kind of the activity, what you are undertaking is the need of the time, and what our printing industry needs, you are taking on your own front at OPA level. This kind of activity should be taken on the federation front, sir. It's my humble request to our past presidents and the current president to take it on a national level.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Madam, you can go to the question answer. Still, I'm not seeing that.
Reading the first question, Kamalji.
Yes, sir.
Good morning, Kamal sir. Is there any plan or to form a committee to control the digital printers' dominations in pricing. It's totally affected all printers, print service providers.
Actually,
Suresh Dhanasekaran.
Actually, I already replied to them on the chat that let me have their complete detail, because here it is not complete detail what they want. So definitely at the pattern of our federation, we put these things to the federation authorities. Definitely the things can be sorted out. Let us assess it fully what they want. So I've given them my mail ID. And in the meantime, I've also requested all the panelists to share their mail ID or contact details. So many people wants to talk to you. Just for your information, once again, they can share the complete detail on my email. Definitely we'll look towards. Thank you.
Suresh Dhanasekaran sir, I hope you are online and you heard Kamalji telling that you can contact him on his email. The next question is from Mrs. Nandini Shankar. What will be the suggestions for small scale printers and cost cutting procedure?
Small screen printers. So anybody?
I have one point which I like to tell. Can I?
Yeah, sure. Why not?
At this time, many, the people, economists have told that not to invest in any machineries. Rather, you can double your production, because many small scale printers run only for 8 hours or 12 hours. So what I actually did was, I did 24 hours shift for each and every machine. So I have 4 machines, 4 multicolor offset machines. Now I have 8 machines which is running because of 24-hour shifts. So that is one big method to cut down the cost of investment and double the production. So that is one thing. And the other thing is reduce the number of labors and increase the activity of, how to tell is, so a machine needs 4 to 5 people to run. So instead you can bring down to 2 people and allot the other 2 people for the night shift. So you can cater your client much efficient way, and you can cut down on the salary. With the same salary, you can do double production. This is one way which small scale printers can try adapting it.
Thank you. And madam, I would like to interrupt. We have with us Mr. Sandeep Pai. He wants to ask some question here to the panelists. Yes, Sandeep, we are listening.
Good afternoon, everyone. Hi, this is Sandeep Pai here. I have been associated with the print industry for about 20 years now. And during this 20 years, I have traveled the length and breadth of the country, visited many printers, seen the shop floors, etc. In the meantime, I also visited countries abroad like China and the UAE, and I've seen printers there as well. Now, going ahead, my question to people like Prithvirajji, Anshulji, Ankitji, all of who you spoke about exports, print exports, and I'm particularly talking about book printing. One thing which I have noticed in India, which is different from other presses, is the density of people in a press, which means our presses are overcrowded, unlike the ones you see abroad. The condition of housekeeping, the toilets, etc., for the employees, for the workers, needs to be thought of. Going ahead, Ankitji brought a very important point of SEDEX. Ankitji, yes, probably you're doing that also because you're a pharma printer, and one of the GMP demands is that you have all this SHE or EHS, whatever you call it, as a standard. Thinking further, do we also need to think, because if you are looking at export as an opportunity, domestic opportunities will be far and fewer going ahead. But if you are looking at export opportunities, especially with the China thing happening where print will move from China to India, do you also think of the print buyers looking at these, maybe if you want to call it in inverted quotes, slightly softer issues like housekeeping, distancing, the congestion? The shop floors are too congested. If one person has to move in, two have to move out, most presses. These printers, I don't know whether the print buyers would go to them. Would they be able to survive without export? Your views. Anyone can take this. Yeah,
Ankit would like to say.
Thank you, Mr. Pai, for the question. What I have understood in the past 7 to 10 years about your point on housekeeping is that I understood this from a learned person, that we always talk about dense shop floors and all that stuff. But let's take an example of our house where there is a father, mother, 2 sons, and their wives and the kids. We all are staying in a joint family. It's quite a dense house if you stay in like a 1,500 square feet house. And we still manage to keep our house clean every day. So why can't the same application be put in our factory? Our factories are always going to be dense. It's always going to be labor intensive. And that is our strength, according to me. And if that is the case, housekeeping holds the same level is what you pay the guy who comes and sweeps your floor and washes your burtan and all of that. Say your income divided by that percentage should be the same revenue divided by the housekeeping expense. And I think you will not treat housekeeping as a additional expense. It will just be a normal expense for you.
Sandeep, is it okay with you? Anybody wants to add to it?
So I wanted to say something on this.
Yes, Prithviraj, please.
Yes. Another point that I wanted to add was, as a buyer, when a buyer comes to India looking for printers, there's no shortage of printers. There's going to be huge number of printers who are available, who can offer various services, who can, like someone earlier also said, there are, like I believe Ankit said, there are thousands of printers who can give the same high level of quality. Okay, it's the certifications, it's the maintenance of your production facility, it's the quality of upkeep that you maintain at your facility these are not requirements, but these are points which will give confidence to the buyer. The buyer is going to definitely be influenced by those factors and have that trust factor which will come in, which will help him to make that decision to buy from you. And like Ankit said, these are requirements. These are not at all somebody has mandated, but it has to come from within, something that we need to ensure that we do.
Yeah. Just to reiterate on that point, I think I spoke during my presentation also that this must be done for yourself and it should not come from any client or any regulation. If you do it for yourself, it becomes part of life. So that is the point I think should answer Mr. Pai's question.
Thank you, Sandeep. And thank you, everyone. Now I will go to the madam for next question, please.
Mr. Sanjay Kumar is asking, what is the future of mini offset printers now after COVID as compared to digital?
If you go on that digital, definitely two printers which are hit by the digital were screen printer and small printers. So because the basic run in the small press and screen printing was small, and easily these can be done by digital. So if you can do by digital, why you are still sticking to those machines? Cost of production, definitely there's a difference, but not much. As far as small stationery is concerned, nowadays, already billboards, stationery has gone. Now people will not print the visiting card because nobody will like to touch the paper after COVID. I think these precautions will continue for some longer period for health reasons. So definitely digital, I think change is required now. Go and change and don't stick to those machines, and better going for digital. That will be better, I think so. Anybody?
Next question is to Mr. Anurag. Mr. Ashwani Gupta has asked, you said your company had availed 10% extra limits of the bank. By this, your costs had already increased and you are not in a position to get payment from your customers and advance demand by the suppliers. How the industry will move in this situation?
Thank you. Nice question.
I'm just sharing it for the sake of the others.
Yes. Like if we have availed 10% extra limits, we can utilize these funds to just accommodate with the price increase what our supplier is demanding at instant time. Like they are asking for 3 rupees increase in the craft paper currently. So by using that fund, we at least can accommodate. If we are going to ask our customer right now that give us price increase, they definitely will ask for the time. For the time being, I can utilize these funds to just accommodate my expenses and the rates what is going to be increased by my supplier. So I can at least accommodate these funds to avoid my current losses.
Mr. Mandir Udgar is asking, what is the outlook for label printing industry in India in the coming future?
I think
So I've already replied on the question and answer thing. So I was just reading articles even in Print Week that the per capita consumption of labels in India is at 10 to 15% of the per capita consumption what is there in US and Europe and UK. Now, if you say get that 10% to say a 50% and then multiply that to 1.3 billion people, I think that should answer your question as to the potential of label industry. So my personal opinion is that it is a sunshine industry, and label from wet glue to self-adhesive, I think is a big opportunity in the times to come. Thank you.
I also want to reply on this.
Yeah. Anurag.
Like after COVID-19, I see that the primary packaging in labels, like every printer in Baddi area, he was running their factory for 24 hours a day. Like they have done the sales in April. The sales of these companies were the highest in the labels. So the sanitizer demand was too high that in any situation where packaging will be required, label industry is definitely going to grow above to the secondary packaging, like paper and paperboard packaging. The label industry will definitely going to grow, and also the primary and tertiary packaging will always be in demand. And the, like Mr. Tana said, it will always sunshining industry.
For the information of the audience and the panelists, I may tell that you are being watched by 6 countries now. So you are visible at 6 countries. In the presence of all, I think I've already unmuted all. And for on my request, please big class for the madam. She has done a very nice thing, and she has been moderating just like
I thought you were going to say big. I thought you were going to say big clap to the
whatever
board.
you said, she recorded and produced on the spot that what she has done. Madam, thank you very much what you did, and definitely thank you to all the panelists. Sir, definitely I say our future is in the good hands, and I'm not too worried about the printing of India. You will bring the flag of printing to next horizon, I'm sure. Thank you very much, all the panelists, and I'm obliged for your presence. Thank you very much. And
Thank you.
definitely.
Thank you very much. Wish you all the best. We would like to see you after 10 years in another seminar like this. What, Kamalji?
First time everybody is writing. It's a wonderful movement, and everybody appreciating each and every panelist. So wonderful, and I'm very much thankful.
And the participants also remain more than 100 for a very long time.
Yes, it is. Yes, you're right.
Remain more than 100.
It is for the first time, and definitely people liked it. We will record it, and as per our procedure, we record it and we upload it to YouTube, so that, and then it is circulated to all, so that more and more people can see. Thank you very much. Thank you once again, and I feel blessed for your presence. Thank you, madam.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you very much.